Good morning. Welcome to Blue Heron Hill. Have a hot, sunny day today. Maybe a little bit of rain in the afternoon, keeping my fingers crossed. Today I want to talk about pruning, the how, the when, and the why. And I'll include a little bit of thinning. So let's get right to it. I think I'll start with tomatoes and why we prune them. There are a number of people that don't prune them, gardeners that don't even stake them. I know my mother didn't stake tomatoes. She just let them sprawl over the ground. They're a vining plant. They're quite a bit like a squash or a melon or something like that. We have to train them if we want them to grow up a support system like a trellis, like I have, you can see in the background. That's my cattle panels that I have my tomatoes growing up on. Here we have a good representative of a tomato plant that needs pruning. Pretty lush looking, standing pretty upright. I have some support ties on here to keep it in its upright position. A tomato is a vining plant, a lot like a melon or squashes and things like that. But it does need help if you want to train it on a support system like I have. And this is cattle panels. So when you prune a tomato, it's for airflow down at the bottom. You want airflow, you don't want it stagnated down here. When you water, your soil is going to be moist, and that will bring pathogens up to the leaves. You don't want the leaves on the ground because they will take up any disease pathogens that are in your soil. So we want to trim our lower leaves. Now, if you see on this particular one here, this is a node where the leaf branch meets the main stem. And at the node, it's what's called a sucker comes out. Now, this is a growing, fruiting part of the tomato. So you can leave it on and it will bear fruit for you. But in this particular instance, I want this foliage up off the ground. So I generally prune my suckers off to about 18 inches to about 2 feet off the ground. And then after that, usually I can't keep up with them, so I just let them go. So I have myself a pair of very sharp bypass scissors. So I'm going to cut off all of this foliage down below. You can see here's one that's a sucker. There was a leaf here when I went to plant these. These are planted probably about 10 inches deep. Either you want to cut them fairly flush to the stem. This one also. That will scab over. You want to do this perhaps on a warm day, sunny day, not a stretch of very cold weather, because you don't want any splash up getting into that open wound. That should heal over fairly quickly. But here's a sucker here and a leaf. We're cutting them both off. Now, when I do cut my leaves off, even though this is a very healthy specimen right here, with tomatoes in particular, I just take these, I don't even compost them. They go right out into my forest. That's my forest compost. Because we don't want, normally with things you could just let it recompost right back on the ground, but if there's any disease in this, you don't want the disease to stay in your soil. So let's take a look. Here we have another one over here. We'll cut those two off. Okay, so that's pretty good for right now. Just gonna let this go on up the trellis. It looks like it may need some more support along the way. After I do my entire, let's see, my entire row of tomatoes, I will then, after a good watering, I will then mulch. I usually don't mulch until after I get my first pruning done. All right, I have a lot to do. See you when I'm done. Okay, this row is pruned. They're beginning to look a little bit like palm trees. But all of that pruning is going to force the growth upward and force it to start its fruit production. To prune or not to prune, that is the question. Well, I'm not sure that Shakespeare ever pruned his pepper plants, but according to many people, it is a question. It is a dilemma. Do you do it? Do you not do it? Last year, I did prune my pepper plants, and I had a very good crop of peppers. I will do half and half pruning, half non-pruning, just to see if I can get a higher yield of my pepper plants. Now, what I did last year is I made sure I had at least 3 to 4 sets of leaves coming off the main stem. Here would be the first set, and then there's another one, 2, and then another one. This would be 2, even though they aren't alternating, and this would be the third. And then I clipped it right there, again using a very sharp shears. Pruning it in this fashion makes the plant bushier. It will force growth at the axis points here of the leaf and the main stem. And unlike what we do for tomatoes, and we prune out this sucker here, this we want to grow, and we want to have more flowers on it, thus giving us more fruit as a bushier plant. Now, if you prune this, it's going to take a little bit of time for it to come back, get bushier, and of course it'll be shorter, but then it will grow, and you just prune it once. But if you have a short growing season like I do, and I was thinking about this over the winter, it doesn't give this plant more time to reach that harvest stage. If you have a long growing season, this may be a very good method to use. I did have a good crop last year. The pruning of the peppers did work well, I thought, although I pruned them all and I didn't let any go. But this year I will do 50% pruned, 50% just straight. And we're going to see how that goes. Now, I feel most of my pepper plants, this one is rather tall, and I could, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could snip it right there. There you go. And I took this bit off here. And that should force the lateral growth from those nodes right there. But most of my other pepper plants are rather on the smaller side. You can see this one here is a little smaller. That's not so bad. That one over there, whoop, is teeny. We come on this side. I've got one here that's rather getting a little lanky, and he could probably do with a prune. But some of these are still small. I think I am going to give them another week, 10 days of growth before I decide which ones to prune and which ones not to prune. Here are the peppers that I wintered over, and they are a nice, strong, sturdy duo of peppers. They have some buds coming up here, and as I showed in another video, we have one fruit on the plant already. These seem to be pretty bushy already. I looked at this one here. This is kind of lanky, kind of growing very tall. I may prune that one off to see if I can get it to be a little bit bushier. But anyway, those are different from all the other ones that I started as seedlings in February, I think. These are radishes. I've spaced them out nicely already. I like to keep at least an inch between them. This might be one that I remove here. Well, that one's pretty nice. I could even eat that as a tender little, and even the leaves are quite edible. I'm going to take that one in. Okay, so I don't feel beans are necessarily, they need to be thinned. More beans coming up over here. They're all spaced nicely. They're a nice big bean. You can put them in pretty easily into the ground at 3 to 4 inch intervals. Okay, here's a clump of carrots that desperately need to be thin. They're very crowded here. You can see these are very close together. They won't form a nice shoulder to the carrot. So you have to make a kind of an educated guess here on which ones you want to keep. There's no standard rule except you need to thin them out. I have 2 here. I will keep this outside one. Take this one and I just kind of put my fingers down next to it and then pull out. That would have been a cute carrot. Okay, here we have some more here. We have 1, 2, actually there's 3 right here. So I'm going to gently push my fingers on either side of these 2 and gently pull upwards. It helps if your soil is a little on the moist side, which mine isn't right now. And now we have 2 here, and I think I'll leave this smaller one. No, I think maybe I'll take the smaller one and remove that. These will bounce back in no time. Here's another crop, a group of them up here. These 3 here seem to be okay. These are getting rather close. I'm going to take out, this is a tough decision. Maybe I'll take this one out. Put your fingers on either side, gently pull. And this one is sitting next to this larger one here. Gently pull out. Those 3, they may be close. I think maybe I'm going to leave them. There is a certain amount of pushing outward that a carrot will do to its neighbor. Let's see if we have a few more here in this group here. Oh, here's a weed. We'll pull it out. Oh, crabgrass. Okay, that seems to be fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And even this little one. I have a brand new row of, had to reseed over here. This seems to be a pretty good row. And we're going to leave that alone, and I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it. So that's thinning carrots. Not a really hard thing to do, but something that must be done or they'll become crowded. And you really won't get the decent carrot crop that you're looking for. Here is a zucchini, and along with the weed. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in this bag, plus a couple weeds. Usually, I think in this bag, which is probably about a 5-gallon size, I would want 2. But I'm not going to thin any of these out until I get true leaves on them all. Because you never know what might happen along the line. There might be a little chipmunk that comes along and snips them off. So I'm going to let these go for now. This is a strong contender. That's a strong contender. It's a little on the late side, and along with that one also. But we'll see. But this will have 2 zucchini plants in it when it's all said and done. All right, here is my sugar baby watermelon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Way too many. Way too many for this one container. But I don't really see any fully formed primary leaves in this. So I'm continuing to water it, fertilize it as needed until I see sets of true leaves. And then I will make a decision as to which one goes, which ones stay. Okay, sugar pie pumpkins. I have 3 nicely looking ones. Some yellowing on the leaves here. I'm not really sure. Those are the cotyledons, so they're going to fall off anyway. But these look fairly fresh and viable, so we're just going to leave those. This one might be one that I pull off. I think I will. I think these are far enough along. They have good growth on it, and I will sacrifice this one on this side. There we go. Okay. Now they have the whole bucket of compost and soil to themselves. Here's one here. This is a pumpkin. And all 3 of these look great. I'm very hesitant to pull any of them. I may just, since this is the feed bag, is just an experiment on my pumpkin patch feed bag here, that I may just leave these 3 to grow and see what happens. Here we have, more sugar pie pumpkins. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, definitely we've got to cull a couple of these. This one I see right off the bat. He's smaller. We'll pull him out. I think perhaps this one. No, let me see. You want them evenly spaced in the bag. So I'm going to pull this one. So now I have 3. I always like to leave a few more than necessary to make sure I have some that will continue. And this is, what is it, Kajori melon. All right, well there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is going to be way too many. I see a first leaf coming out on this one and this one. Nothing on this one, so we could actually sacrifice this guy right now. And perhaps even this one here. But I'm going to leave 4 till later and see how they grow and see which one. I probably want to take at least one more off. Let me do a little soil test. Yep, still kind of nice and warm. Moist down there. This is dry on top, but that's okay. It's kind of providing a bit of a moisture retention. Thanks for following along with me in today's video on to prune or not to prune your peppers and tomatoes. So let me know how you like this. Give me a thumbs up. Comments, please, if you have any questions. Subscribe if you haven't, and please pass this along to anybody that would enjoy this content. So until the next video, until we go digging in the dirt again, this is Sue from Blue Heron Hill. Bye.